So first and foremost, I actually want to know this. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into the life insurance space?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town, was playing college football, and my boy Wes found the opportunity. And throughout him starting in his first month, every day was just blowing up my phone, telling me about the business, how much money he was making. So I had no other choice. I knew I didn't want to go to school anymore. I was done with that, so I decided to just take that risk and jump in on the business. I've been here for like a year and a half, pushing 2 years almost, and it's been quite the journey.
100%, brother. Can you talk about your first 30 days just as an agent?
Ooh, first 30 days were rough, very low intent leads, dollar leads, stuff like that. It was kind of a learning curve for me. I'm more of a personable person, but it was a big struggle for me. And honestly, it wasn't even the first 30 days. It was like the first 6 months. I was kind of in my own way. I was very negative, complained a lot, really bad perspective, overall bad mindset. Went through a lot of stuff, and I think that it's gotten me to where I am now. So I'm super thankful that I did go through that stuff, even though it sucked. It was worth it in the long run because obviously I stuck it out, and it's been great to me the last year.
100%. You touched on something. You talked about mindset. You talked about negativity. For that agent that's there or is trying to figure out, Tristan, how do I get out of that situation? Can you walk through what was that moment for you?
Honestly, there was a couple moments in specific. Since I'm in family first life, it was the convention. I thought you had to be like extremely special to make a lot of money in this business. And then I came to convention in 2025 last year, and I realized like, okay, none of these people are more qualified than I am. They're not special or anything like that. They just put their head down and did the work. And I knew that at the end of the day, nothing was going to change if I didn't make any change myself, and no one was going to hold my hand. Like I had my upline West to guide me, but he wasn't going to do the work for me. And eventually, it just got to the point where I was just so tired of being stuck doing the same thing over and over. And so eventually, as soon as I got paid, I remember this pretty vaguely, but I got paid from a policy, and I took that entire commission. I think it was like 2 grand. And I dumped it all into leads, and I just started ripping. And then eventually, I learned that my activity was super important too. So went through a couple battles. Part of it was going home and visiting family 10 hours away, and I came home broke, had no
Mm.
money. And actually, a few nights before that, I had woken up in the middle of the night at like 2 or 3 in the morning, having a panic attack, hadn't eaten in probably almost a day and a half because I couldn't afford anything. So I think that was like a breaking point for me, or a low point. And I realized like, okay, I got to figure this out. Otherwise, I'm just going to be here for the rest of my life. So I think there's just really a big moment for me to realize like I got to double down, stand 10 toes, and figure it out.
When you got back, what did you change? What behaviors, what patterns, what habits? For I'm an agent and I'm like, okay, that's crazy. Now talk about what you did to change that.
Honestly, it was small actions of like aspirations. So I'm writing it down. I'm going to help 3 families today. I'm going to help 2 families today. I also got to the point where I was like marking the leads green. Like as soon as they would pick up, I'm marking them green. Like I set expectations that I was gonna close a family that day. I was gonna close this amount of policies that day. Whatever it was, I think it was just small things to mentally psych me into it. Even if I didn't feel like it, I almost had to fake it till I make it type of thing. And eventually, it became like a real thing. I've been around Wes for several years, so he was really big on manifestation and law of attraction. It sounds goofy, but I genuinely believe like the energy that you bring in each day, whatever you're doing as far as your workflow, if you're bringing in the negative energy, it's going to be a negative day. If you bring in the positive energy, you're going to do great things. So it's really just like kind of having the confidence and speaking that stuff into existence.
Yeah, dude, I think that's super important, man. You're touching on some things that I feel like a lot of people they try to make this business super complicated, and it's a very simple business. But it does come down to your attitude and the behaviors that you have and that you do every day. With that being said, you run vets, but I want to know, have you always ran vets? What other lead types have you tried? And why did you end up with veterans being like your top choice? Or is that not your top choice? You know what I mean? Like, can you walk a new agent through what made you, end up where you're kind of at right now with lead choices?
Honestly, so we started early on. Wes kind of had to, me, Wes, and a couple of others early on when we first got in the business, kind of had to figure everything out on our own. We didn't really have an upline that gave us a guideline or, much to follow. And then he eventually dropped out of the business. But we started with ILC and our Integrity Lead Center. We started with their bronze leads. At the time, they were 75 cents a piece. You're talking to people that, thought they were getting a free pizza from Domino's. That's the quality of the lead. And then we got into another lead vendor here at Family First Life, fresh final expense leads that were dripping in. And honestly, like I did well on them when I was consistently investing, but I noticed like the chargeback rate and persistency wasn't as great because a lot of those people are on very, very fixed incomes, and they also don't see the importance of life insurance. So when I saw Marcos get into some bets early on when he first started, I was like, all right, I'm going to do this too. We're going to do it together and figure it out. And honestly, it's just I feel like they see the value in life insurance. They serve for our country. Family is super important to them. Same thing with friends and people around them in general are just super important to them. So I do feel like they really see the value. They're also higher income families, which doesn't mean I'm trying to run their pockets, of course, but it shows your availability and the flexibility for you to not only protect them and they have more realistic expectations with the life insurance because they can afford more, but then you're also getting paid more at the same time. I saw a lot of my book of business with final expense fall off this last fall. And I solidified pretty well. Like I make sure like nobody's replacing anything. They're not canceling stuff like that. Even if I have to downsell them once or twice, like I'm doing it. And I still saw a bunch of fall offs. I think there was a month, this was like 2, 3 months ago. I had like, I think 8 to 10 in debt just hit me. And not a single, I think maybe one policy was a veteran. And that was because he had issues with his bank. So he fixed it. But since then, like my persistency has been so much better. My chargebacks are much lower. I think that's the biggest thing with veterans is they stay on the books.
100%. I'm an agent. I'm transitioning from final expense to veterans. What do you say to that person?
Go all in. Don't hesitate. Have full confidence and conviction. You may, mess up a few times, but the best thing I did to learn was just ask questions. Never be too big to ask questions. I don't care if you've been in the business for 3 months or you've been in the business for 2 years. It's always trying to find a way to learn. Even using Marcos as an example, he's only been here not even a year yet. And when I started seeing him hit really well on the veterans, I was like, okay, like he's doing something right. I'm doing something wrong. I need to go ask him what I need to do. So I think that's super important is asking questions and then go implement it. Not just once. I tell this to my people all the time. Don't implement something one time because then it's not going to work. You got to do it over and over and over. And then eventually you get the hang of it. Honestly, I love talking to veterans. I shoot the crap with them. I talk football. They love talking about the military, the time they served, their experiences. So they're honestly really down to earth people. And I feel like I connect with them pretty well.
Got you. I think that's super important too. I'm hitting on a few things, not just from socioeconomically, but also just like I'm a huge person when it comes to leads. I talk about demographics and what the clientele is like, what they do on a day to day, right? How they think, how they perceive the world. Nothing wrong with final expense, really the people in general, but it just depends on, what you're trying to do with your book of business, which you've kind of already elaborated on. I want to know, how do you work leads? Right. I think, there's a few different ways you could approach it, but walk me through. New lead comes in, right when we get off the phone and you're driving, or you wake up in the morning. Like, what is your thought process? Are you trying to hit them as soon as possible? Do you let them sit there for a few minutes? Do you send text messages? Like, agents want to know, what is the best way to work these leads that you've seen?
Yeah, I'm calling them right away. I mean, I've closed in the car, I've closed while driving. I mean, that's not the safest thing to do. But all in all, like as soon as they come in, I'm not letting, 5 minutes go by because they may change their mind. They may talk to somebody else. They go fill out something else with a different platform or a different vendor, whatever it is, because they're already in the market for some sort of coverage. So you might as well take advantage as soon as possible. Now they remember exactly what you're talking about. I think that's been the biggest thing as far as like working leads. That's pretty much what I do. And then as far as like my lead flow, if you don't mind me hitting on that too, is really just like every other day. What before coming into you guys, it's been every other day I'm buying a new pack, which has been great. But I don't think with the vendor I'm using, there's no ad spend. It's just you're just paying per lead basically, and you're honestly overpaying, and you're not maximizing your ROI as much. I've made a great amount of income each month off of those, but it comes to a point of like really needing to scale my business and also help scale my agents and their business.
For those that are listening that don't have context because we do sell per lead, he's a part of an agency that is partnered with us, right? So if you watch my videos or you know anything, I talk about that a lot. And they are able to take advantage of us basically marketing on their behalf. So they just put up ad spend and they do not pay a per lead price with like, the costs and all this other stuff. So just context for people that are wondering. So real quick caveat. I want to talk about this because I don't even know. Yeah, talk about your numbers for what you've made off the leads in the little short period of time that you've been running them, bro. It kind of takes some time to explain that, brother.
Yeah, I'm just about to get into the ad spend portion, but as far as per lead, it's literally more than half the cost of what I've been paying for. And every single person that has answered, I've gotten 20 leads, 15 out of 20 knew exactly what I was talking about. I have 7 or 8 apps that I closed, 2 his and hers, multiple other single policies. Every single one of them knew exactly what I was talking about. It was just for me to get them from point A to point B to the finish line. They've been super simple. I don't have to overcomplicate anything with them or try to beat around the bush. Like it's hey, this is why I'm calling. What were you looking to take care of? You listed so and so as the beneficiary, or this is your branch of service, and then it's literally just moving forward. So my experience with them has been great, and that's not even getting on the ad spend yet, as far as more so inbound leads or just better, even higher quality, and they've already been pretty high quality. So considering it's my first investment with you guys, like I can't complain at all.
Got you. And how much have you written thus far from that? So you said 8 apps out of the 20. Is
I
it?
would say probably around 10,000 AP. So on
Got you.
average, 2 grand total per app.
Yeah. Cool thing is, guys, he sent me a picture of him close to somebody with his legs crossed in the car. In the
Yeah,
car the other day, I was crying. I was like,
yeah.
look at my dog. But okay, cool, bro. So now I want to hop into the nitty gritty. I want you to take the floor. So this is kind of how this works. You don't have to do the intro with me, but I want you to walk through your kind of like, this is what I say on my intro. And I want you to walk us through your sales process. And you can, put more value in some places, kind of walk through your thought about underwriting. How do you pitch options? How do you close? Any little tips and tricks? I'm gonna let you have the floor, brother. You can kind of freestyle it. You're talking to a new agent. They're like, yo, I want to be able to close, 7 out of 20 leads of my 15 appointments. The floor is yours, bro.
Honestly, veterans are very straightforward people, very cut and dry people. They appreciate transparency. I will open that up in the call. So once I get through my intro, and I'll keep it short and sweet, it's really not complicated. I say, hey, so and so. Hey, so and so, this is Tristan, the Veterans Life Specialist, getting back to you. I got that request you submitted to my office for the Veterans Life Insurance and those benefits. You did list here you served in the Army. Is that correct? Okay, perfect. And then I also have them confirm their MOS for their main duties and then their years of service. Just to build a little bit of credibility. It's not super important, but it is kind of quick. And then they understand, that I'm a real person. I'm probably not a
Pause,
robot.
pause for 1 second. What is MOS for the person that does not know?
Yeah.
Just
Main duties. So 19 Bravo, like what they actually did in the military, whether they were a mechanic, infantry, something like that. It's what their service was in the military, like what their actual job, or I guess you could say title in the military was.
for those that are listening, and I didn't mean to cut you off, brother, so please hold your
Okay.
train of thought. For those that are listening, that is instant credibility. Instant credibility. It's something that they know, it's something that they relate to, and he sounds like a professional. He doesn't sound like a robot. He sounds like a professional. I don't want that to go over anybody's head. You can keep going, brother. I just wanted to put it there.
It truly is super important. It does build a lot of credibility. And if you have no idea what the military is like and you don't say that, I feel like they're going to think, you're not that they assume I'm a veteran, but they're assuming I don't necessarily know anything about them or I don't care about them in that type of way. So I think that is important. But as far as that, I mainly just ask, what's your biggest concern behind this request? Just are you more focused on covering your final expenses for said beneficiary or leaving something to the family? Just kind of dig deeper with me. What was your biggest concern so I can understand, where you're coming from? And then from there, they'll just open wide open for you and pour everything you need as far as that goes. Outside of that, like it's really straightforward type of people. I've talked to several. I quite literally closed one while we were at convention. And the guy told me from the get-go, and I'm kind of going off track, but he told me from the get-go, I don't want any sort of 2-year waiting period, blah, 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 blah. These veterans are very direct people. They've been yelled at and screamed at by their drill sergeant 1,000 different times. And so you kind of have to give them similar energy and just get straight to the point. So I told him, I let him tell me his issues and what he was going through in the past with life insurance, trying to figure out what I can do differently than the last 3 agents. Because there's a reason they didn't buy the first 3 times. Now you have to figure out why and what you can do differently. I think that's super important. I just told him straight up, I said, oh, I appreciate you sharing that. And if you don't mind, because this is how I am and how I treat all the veterans, I'm very straightforward and very transparent. I do not like to beat around the bush. So if you don't mind me being direct with you, that's what I'm going to do. Does that sound good? He's like, oh, by all means, please freaking do. And he was cussing up a storm too. And from then on, it was pretty gold. Now, I stole this from one of our agents within our agency who just came over recently. She's been in the business for a while. Shout out Destiny. She has this intro. Once they pick an option, obviously I'm going to review their options based off of their budget, obviously their age and their health. As far as picking the company, it's really just, I wouldn't say by luck. I mean, I've been doing it for a while. So now that I've been doing it for so long, I've gotten so many reps and I just know where to go. But primarily making sure I'm organized with the person. So after I figure out their main concern and then I get their medical history, then I pick the company and I'm making sure I'm ready to go. Like I'm multitasking. I think that's really big. I see a lot of new agents struggle with multitasking. You have to
Okay.
be able to talk to them. You have to be able to pull up the application and operate that application while still getting the value and importance out of that. Because obviously being efficient is going to help. And a lot of people appreciate that. That's our whole job, is to make it as stress-free and as less time consuming as possible. They don't want to be on the phone for hours. Make it as quick as you can efficiently. So once I do that, and then they pick an option, I'm saying, your first option, this can be your bronze, B option, or C option. This is going to be your silver and your gold. And I go in depth with each of these options. Like, I'm not just saying this is your option, this is how much it is. I'm going in depth, making it relatable to their situation. So they want to cover the funeral costs or the burial. Hey, this A option is going to be a great option to get your foot in the door. At the very least, cover the majority of those burial costs. That way, you at least have something in place. You're not running around naked. If that option is going to be this much for this much. Then same thing with the second one, your silver option or your B option. This is going to be your state recommended. Okay, this is going to cover all of your funeral costs, ensuring that nothing is left behind as far as a debt to your wife or the family. And that's going to be this much, this much. C option, gold option, whatever you want to do. I've done both, pitches as far as gold and silver, A, B, and C. But the last option, I typically tell them, I say, okay, now this gold option, this is, I think, a little more than what you need, so I don't typically recommend it. But if you are looking to leave a little bit more to the wife after the funeral costs, this would be an option for you. That option is going to be this for this much. And just to reiterate as well, based off the budget, say their budget is $100 a month. I'm going 100% of their budget, 75% of their budget, and 50%. Starting with 50% and building our way up. And it's not always to the exact dollar. It's like whatever's closest. If it's $52. Now, the biggest portion I feel like that has been helping me lately, especially with the veterans, once you tell them the whole direct pitch or whatever, you're being transparent with them, that's the type of person you are. I straight up tell them, like, okay, what we're going to do, I'm going to pull up this application. We're going to review your basic demographics with the life insurance company or said insurance company, whatever it is. They're going to go over your name, your age, your height and weight, your date of birth, a good mailing address to mail out the physical copy in the mail, and then a good email, and then a good phone number as well. Lastly, they're also going to add your social onto the policy to verify that you are a U.S. citizen, and then verify your medical background check or your medical records. And then I'll have a couple extra medical questions. You kind of already answered those for me, but I'll just have to review them shortly with you. Then we'll add your beneficiary, whoever that is you want it to be. Then we will add a draft date. This date is completely up to you. This whole process is tailored to you. So you get the availability to pick. That can be today. It can be next week. Something like that. I don't always say that, but you get the point. And then I say, okay, and then they're also going to require a form of payment. One, to validate that it is an active account and there's no fraudulent alerts or fraudulent charges on the account. Does that all make sense? Perfect. And then I just start moving through the application. I don't ask them, is that okay? Like I tell them, I tell them, like, this is what we're doing. And I grab their hand and I walk them through the application. And I don't think I've had a single objection saying, because they know what to expect. They know they're going to give out their social. They know they're going to give out their banking, and then I'm going to get them from point A to point B. That's pretty much everything.
That was fire, bro. What did you used to do?
Honestly, very similar with, my basic intro, the concern. Same thing with pitching options, a percentage of their budget. I used to not say how direct I'll be with the veterans. I used to kind of just leave that out. Every now and then I would throw it in there. I recently just started using the basic demographics line like the last month, and it's been cooking for me. I also did miss out on something that I usually say as well. I kind of give them a little bit more background for me so that they know who I am. One, I send them my license or I have them grab a pen and paper for writing down options or my info. But then I'll also explain my job, kind of how my job works for you, Robert. My job is to do all the shopping for you since we work with all the carriers here across the nation. My job is to make that as stress-free as possible and take that weight off your shoulders. I'm kind of like a waiter at your restaurant. I just fulfill your order as best as possible. Does that all make sense? Just making it known like, hey, I'm going to do all the shopping for you. Sometimes I'll even throw in there. That way you're not calling in from company to company, being on the phone for hours. We know how that gets because believe me, I talk to them every day. Just something to get them that other expectation of, like this guy's going to do all the work for me. I don't have to go research because a lot of times you're going to have people where they're window shopping and they just want to shop around. They just want to get budget or options from you. They think you work with just one company. So I explain that just to give them the idea and set the expectations.
That was brilliant, brother. That was brilliant. I want to let you finish with this. Can you talk about your experience working with Lead Lab and just like if it's a new agent, maybe not for the agency package, but they're just buying leads, right? Can you walk them through what their expectation could be working with us? And you can wrap us up, brother.
Yeah, I mean, the Discords are honestly great. Everybody that's in there that is part of Lead Lab is very responsive. If you have questions, by all means, you can ask the question. They'll have an answer for you. In the past, when I've worked with other lead vendors or the lead vendor that I've been working with for such a long time, there's always some sort of issues. And you have no control over it as far as what you're having issues with. Half the time, they won't even let you replace your leads. With Lead Lab or you guys here, it's been super transparent and easy to communicate with everybody as far as, hey, this is what I'm noticing. Hey, I had this bad lead, or hey, I haven't gotten an update on my leads. If that's the case, which I've never even had that problem, you can always ask for help. And anybody that's a part of Lead Lab, Faith, Franklin, you, Santi, like there's somebody to answer and help you. That's what I would say is like the biggest thing. It's very smooth as far as communication. And it shows the importance of your clients, and also the fact that I've been paying twice the amount per lead elsewhere, and then here it's half the price, over half the price, I think, for the same quality, if not better. I think it's honestly better in my experience in this last pack, and the communication is just 10 times better. Like it's not like you're talking to a brick wall trying to get help. That's kind of been my experience lately, and I have nothing to complain about. It's been, I mean, to a T, perfect.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. For
Yeah.
for rounding it out for us, man. So yeah, man, thank you for hopping on. If anybody wants to tap in with him, you guys can just reach out to myself, reach out to your rep, and if he's available, he might want to talk to you, kind of go through some things with you. He's also building a team, so looking to explode here in 2026. So thank you for your time today, brother, and everybody else. Until next time, we will catch you guys soon. Appreciate you.